Alright, how y'all doing? Alright, so we're just gonna get straight into it. The life of George Soros. I don't know anything about this man, so I'm gonna try to be as unbiased as I can be. Back in 2016, I didn't particularly look into the man. I heard some things, but now after hearing more things with, well, I decided to look into it. Well, here we go. So first, we're going to start off with his biography, or at least some of it. Okay, I'm not reading all this. But this is GeorgeSoros.com. George Soros is one of the world's foremost philanthropists. He has given away more than $32 billion of his personal fortune to fund the Open Society Foundation's work around the world. He is also the founder and primary funder of the Central European University in Budapest, a leading regional center for the study of social sciences. Under his leadership, the Open Society Foundations have supported individuals and organizations across the globe fighting for freedom of expression, accountable government, and societies that promote justice and equality. The foundations have also provided school and university fees for thousands of promising students who would otherwise have been excluded from opportunities because of their identity or where they live. Wow. This giving has often focused on those who face discrimination purely for who they are. He has supported groups representing Europe's Roma people and others pushed to the margins of mainstream society. So, when I was pulling all these up and I was kind of laying out this video, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of tell you kind of what I'm thinking. It's hard to get a number on this guy, man. It's hard to tell if he's good or bad. I don't like putting it that way, but you know, people understand what I'm saying. Because a lot of this, what we're about to, well, first I'm gonna play a couple videos, and thank you to everybody, everybody that put these articles and videos and everything together. But it's hard to get I don't know. You'll judge for yourself at the end. So we're gonna play a couple videos.
Hello, friends. This is Sam Cheney reporting to you for Weaponized News. Civil action. Liberal billionaire gave at least $33 million in 1 year to groups that emboldened activists. And you can scroll down here and see it continues on to read. There's a solitary man at the financial center of the Ferguson protest movement. No, it's not victim Michael Brown or Officer Darrell Wilson. It's not even the Reverend Al Sharpton, despite his...
Okay, all right. I'm not out here trying to waste your time. So let's skip over. Let's see. Yeah, he's just gonna go through and read this article. So let's see what he says instead of babbling on. There's a solitary man at the financial center of the Ferguson protest movement. No, it's not victim Michael Brown or Officer Darren Wilson. It's not even the Reverend Al Sharpton, despite his ubiquitous I think that's supposed to be ambiguous. Anyway, campaign on TV and the streets. Rather, it's liberal billionaire George Soros who has built a business empire that dominates across the ocean in Europe while forging a political machine powered by nonprofit foundations that impacts American politics and policy. Not unlike what he did with MoveOn.org. Excuse me. Mr. Soros spurred the Ferguson protest movement through years of funding and mobilizing groups across the... Okay. Alright, let's see. Alright, the next one.
You better what? when I say George Soros, what is it that I mean, obviously we've talked about this a little bit, but I mean, what has been, until this point, your sort of impression of who and what George Soros is?
Well, before I started doing a little bit of research on him and stuff, and it was this like super evil, like controller, and I didn't know much about him, but that's kind of what the media has been putting out lately, and I don't really even know how to pinpoint it after doing research on him and stuff. I don't even know what to say, like how to pinpoint it exactly. But I do, when I think of it, I think of this super evil person, this controller, this, this crazy lunatic type person.
So Soros there is usually some Soros involvement
Right.
in these sorts of protests, right? You sort of see his mark. So he's correlated with it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people confuse correlation with causation. They're thinking Soros is he paying for some of these things to happen? Yes, he is. Is he the cause of these things? That's what we have to get at.
Yeah, that's very
right?
interesting.
George Soros he's basically a hedge fund guy.
Yeah, he's betting.
He is a bettor.
Yep.
He bets on financial markets. He's made a fuck ton of money.
Yeah.
And he's written about it actually extensively. His first book was, I believe, 87. It's called The Alchemy of Finance. I think there may be 3 volumes of it. And he really does view it as alchemy. And he has a theory that he calls the theory of general reflexivity, or the general theory of reflexivity. Here's him explaining it. Why don't you play that, and then we'll come back and I'll sort of explain what this means and why it's related to the protest.
Consider the statement, it's raining. That statement is true or false, depending on whether it is, in fact, raining. Now consider the statement, this is a revolutionary moment. That statement is reflexive, and its truth value depends on the impact it makes. Reflexive statements have some affinity with the paradox of the liar, which is a self-referential statement. But while self-reference has been extensively analyzed, reflexivity has received much less attention. That's strange, because reflexivity has an impact on the real world, while self-reference is purely a linguistic phenomenon. In the real world, the participants' thinking finds expression not only in statements, but also in various forms of action and behavior. That makes reflexivity a very broad phenomenon that typically takes the form of feedback loops. The participants' views influence the course of events, and the course of events influences the participants' views. The influence is continuous and circular. That's what turns it into a feedback loop.
Okay, so let's explain what George Soros is saying here. The theory of general reflexivity, or the general theory of reflexivity, I'll actually post a link to that whole series where he discusses it. He's speaking in some pretty high sort of philosophical and economic language. But the basis of George Soros' success, and he's let people know this, is this theory. How it works is basically this. He has found a way to look and find concepts that will, in and of themselves, create feedback loops. Now, a feedback loop is, if you know anything about audio, it's like when something is both listening, listening and broadcasting at the same time, you get feedback. So that's like if you stick a microphone close to a speaker, it goes, wah! That's basically the sound reflecting back and forth. We all know the phenomenon of standing in between 2 mirrors, right? And how it goes, psh, 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 psh. That's what he's talking about. That it's reflecting itself back and forth. And in financial markets, this is usually something like a bubble. So let's think about a housing market as an example. someone might say, I'm going to buy this piece of land. I'm going to buy this house because I need a place to live. I like this particular house. I like the neighborhood. It's close to schools. That sort of behavior and that sort of concept, there's no reflexivity. That won't create a bubble. You can't make money in financial markets off that by predicting that someone will do that. It's kind of finite. If you do make money, it's a little bit of money. If you're going to make a lot of money, you want someone to say, I'm buying this house because housing prices are going up. But the housing prices are going up because people are buying houses. But people are buying houses because the housing prices are going up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's reflecting on itself. It's a feedback loop. And that's how you know this is going to create a bubble or it's going to be a bust. I'm selling this house because the prices are falling. The price.
Okay, all right. That's okay. Interesting stuff, but that's not. All right, let's see what else. A block says George Soros funded anti-Trump protest buses for paid agitators. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know.
Web used in news prints that in Chicago. The anti-Trump protest buses for paid agitators caught on tape. The video was taken at 3:30 p.m. on South Canal Street in Chicago on Saturday. As our reader points out, hundreds of the participants that took part in the downtown Chicago protests from November 12 were used in using these vehicles. Other arrived by train. Video taken on the ground in Chicago yesterday show block after block of buses that are being used to bring in professional agitators to protest Donald Trump's landslide victory over Hillary Clinton. Who is paying for all these buses bringing in all these protesters? Why? It's our old friend George Soros, of course. And he is playing his favorite card, the race card. Soros, you will recall, spent millions using in agitators to fuel the race riots in Ferguson, Baltimore, and Chicago. From Zero Hedge, earlier today we showed that, contrary to USA Today's claims that the anti-Trump protests across the nation are spontaneous, involving people from all walks of life, according to WikiLeaks documents, at least 2 of the people profiled by USA Today have a history of being professional agitators for the Democratic Party, whose task is to stir up popular protests and, in extreme cases, unleash rioting, such as the following clip showing the latest day of violent protests in Portland revealed. As our reader notes, I have a video of 5 city blocks on the west side of Chicago lined with buses from Wisconsin, Badger bus lines, bringing in protesters. The Sears Tower is visible in the background. The video was taken at 3:30 p.m. on South Canal Street in Chicago on Saturday. As our reader points out, hundreds of the participants that took part in
3:30, 3:3. All right, so let's keep on moving on. Make of that what you will. I'm trying to stay neutral. I am Switzerland. All right, here we go. Let's see what else. Fake protest funded by George Soros and move on. Let's see.
To protest. Many demonstrators are refusing to accept Trump's victory.
Advantage you can. On how to steer America. Apparently, it has ties to billionaire investor and Clinton. One of the groups groups involved in the anti-Trump protests is called Move On. Its website calls for people to rally against the president-elect. It apparently has ties to billionaire investor and Clinton supporter George Soros, too. That's, in fact, according to emails, if you look back to 2008, released by WikiLeaks from Clinton's campaign chairman, John Podesta, to George Soros. In fact, they gave tips on how to steer American voters. For example, financing groups operating at campaign rallies. Move
Let's look at this. This is what I really don't like about media, is how fast they just blink stuff at you, you know. All right, to George and Jonathan Soros, Peter and Jonathan Lewis, Herb and Marion Sandler, Steve Bing, John Sperling, Michael Vachon, I don't know, from Andy Stem, Anna Berger, and John Podesta, writing as private citizens. September 27th, 2007. Strategic outlook for the 2008 elections. This memo outlines our analysis of the political landscape and progressive strengths and weaknesses going into the 2008 elections. It is intended as background for our meeting on September 27th, 07, and not as a concrete set of recommendations about what to do in the upcoming year. Our proposed agenda for this meeting is included in the accompanying document. All right, so, okay, if you want to look more into this, WikiLeaks, I guess. I don't have it pulled. I'm not going to, yeah, what I have pulled up is what we're going to go through. I'm not going to do any more.
By Donald Trump's victory in the presidential election, tens of thousands of the seemingly spontaneous.
Move On members had created more than 200 gatherings nationwide, with the number continuing to grow on Wednesday afternoon.
The presidential
I'm sorry that I just feel like I do not want to put any propaganda in my videos. This is not what I was after. Okay, well, let's just get to it then. All right, so I heard a video of a couple of them, of people claiming that, oh, yeah, I'm a paid protester, this and that, from 2016 when the elections were, whatever. So I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. So I started digging, and I'm just gonna show y'all all right. So George Soros has been a prominent international supporter of democratic ideals and causes for more than 30 years. Oh, and by the way, so in this video that I seen, the guy was like, yeah, I get a check from George Soros himself, and you know, like how they talk is, I can't take them seriously, but he said you go to georgesoros.com, and from there you can find how you sign up to be a paid processor and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, well, the only way to figure out if that's real or not is to see, you know. So all right, so started clicking around, and it'll lead you, this site, George Soros' site, will lead you to his opensociety.com or whatnot. Yeah, Open Society. Okay, so I go there, and it's like, all this seems like, how can you not get behind equality and all these things, you know? But it's screaming in my mind, psychological play. Like, dude, come on now. They already got these pictures. Anyway, okay. So I was looking, okay, so how do I sign up to be a crisis actor? And what we do, I'm trying to get to, let's see. All I was doing was going through, and I was reading, like, look at the budget for 2020, Open Society's budget, $1.2 billion. And it's like, how can you hate if it is true and how we made the money? It's like, you can't hate on somebody that is smart and is able to figure something out, you know. But it's like, that's not what my issue is here. My issue is, I want to know first of all, I'm trying to figure out the bricks. You know, who is planning these bricks. But you know, I don't want to name groups. But all right, so Open Society funds a lot of people. Democratic practice. I clicked on it from down here. Okay. I'm about to show you all these groups, dude, or just a couple of the groups. And all right, democratic practice. The Open Society Foundation support efforts to engage citizens not just in voting, but in ensuring that governments respond to the challenges of the day and the needs of all their people. How can you not get behind that, right? But keep on digging, you know, and then look at that. 2020 budget for democratic practice. 140 million. Percentage of global. Oh my goodness. Look at this though. Look at this. Do you see what is so weird about this? Okay, this is what I see. Okay. 2020 democratic practice budget by region. Africa. Okay. I get that. They need funding, right? They need food. They need building supplies for better shelters. Yes, okay, Asia Pacific. I don't know much about it. I don't know much about other countries too much. But this is what I find, I know a little bit. But this is what I find crazy. Like, you don't think Middle East needs help? And North Africa? Like, how are you going to have Africa? Oh, yeah, so they're giving money to Africa. But then you get to North Africa. It's like, wait, hold up. The Middle East and North Africa. So, like Egypt, and right? $4.1 million. You don't think those people need help? They probably won't let you help them anyway, but I don't know if I buy that too much. Anyway, look at this. 52.6 million for the United States 2020 democratic practice budget. But then get down here. Let's see how much. Oh, okay. I was mixing that up. But isn't that weird? What is that? It's just, it's weird, man. Just the timing. People were talking back in 2016 about George Soros funding riots and things like that. Okay, anyway, back to no dying. Please use rubbish bins. I like looking for hidden gems, which are not, but look how they're fist, open palm, eyes up, eyes down, both sipping coffee. It's like you never know. What are cross legs? Oh, you never know. New World Order speaks in symbols. All right. So then where did I go? All right. Our approach, Open Society Foundation's how we work. Building long-term relationships of trust with the entities we support and understanding their health, effectiveness, strengths, and the challenges they face is an integral part of the Open Society Foundation's organization-centered approach to grant making. The vast majority of our grants are awarded to organizations that we approach directly. The kind of grants any Open Society program makes depend on its strategy and its vision of how to use its budget most effectively. And then you can search for grants. You can look at the organizations. Let's do this real quick. I clicked all through. Let's see. Grassroots and parent activism and education. This call supports grassroots level civil society initiatives that address COVID-19 related negative effects to education, especially if those initiatives are focused on strengthening community level participation. How can you argue with that? What I noticed is how everything is worded on this site. It's like it's hard to get a bead on the intent because it sounds all good, but even Satan can appear in the form of light. So, and that's how the New World Order works. They want you to believe that it's gonna be so, I don't know, man. Let's get back to it. All right. And then I went, let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. So these are some of the latest awarded grants, most recent. The Open Society Foundation's work to build vibrant and inclusive democracies whose governments are accountable to their citizens. The vast majority of the grants made by Open Society are to organizations, but we also award a limited number of grants to individuals, primarily through scholarships and fellowships offered across a number of different programs. Interesting, right? Look at these numbers, though. And it's like, don't get caught on 2018 because you can move money around years in advance for some type of plan. Let's see, where there was something. Okay, social impact. Let's look at some of these grants. Democratic practice, human rights movement and institution, a 5-year term for right under $1 million. Referring program, Latin America program. Okay, not very detailed. Marielle Franco initiative. Okay. Let's see. Carousel Association. Programmatic support to and changing the narratives project. Theme health and rights. Term 3 years. 2018, 3 years, 2021. Public health program, Europe. That's probably worth looking into for anyone that lives in the British Islands or Isles. What's the CEP? Center za Evropské politiky European Policy Center. Nah, that was horrible. I butchered that. What is this though? Description: Europeanization beyond process. Think for Europe Network 10. Democratic practice 2-year term. Europe. Open Society Initiative for Europe. EU Disinfo Lab? Dude, what? How did I look over that one? What? Dude, no way. Seriously? Man, I really hope people watch through my dang shows, man, because this is how it happens. My shows or my videos, they kind of start off like, I don't know about this, and like I get it, but I promise you, if you sit through and actually watch my videos, I'm telling you, there's some good stuff in there. I promise. EU Disinfo Lab, Organizational Support Grant 2019-2020. Democratic Practice, Information and Digital Rights? I mean, that sounds good, right? I'm telling you, we gotta look underneath the surface. 18-month term. So what, that's a year and a half, 2018. So right before 2020 was up. Europe. What's this one? Migrar es vivir AC. To strengthen the grantee's capacity to raise awareness around and develop advocacy actions for family reunification after deportation / return to Mexico. That also sounds good, right? Equality and anti-discrimination. You know, it's like, how can you hate on this? You're probably getting tired of me saying that, but it's like, I don't know. It's really hard to pinpoint, man. But then later on into the video, I have some other stuff that kind of plays the devil's advocate on this. New America Foundation, to support the grantees national network in its effort to catalyze local innovation in combating inequity in the United States. Seems kind of juicy also. Human rights movements and institution, 1-year term, 2018. Society, $500,000. Foundation to promote. Funder, foundation to promote. Man, this, it's like, and it's so not descriptive. You know what I mean? It's so basic, I don't know, resource impact. To convene leaders and allies in the criminal justice reform space to help inform and strategy for a potential social, what? A potential social, why is that so hard for me to say right now? Social justice impact campaign for the upcoming film adaptation of Just Mercy for a film. Is it propaganda though? You know what I mean? What type of film? Is it a documentary? Is it anyway? Justice reform and rule of law. United States, 3-month term, 25,000. Social Impact Fund. This was, look at this. Social Impact Fund, United States. Justice reform and the rule of law. So that's the same theme of this resource impact, right? I didn't get that mixed up, did I? Nope. Just a 25-month term. So right over 2 years. To support Accelerate Impact Fund. So what's this? Accelerate Impact Fund? A fiscally sponsored project of the grantee to lead organizations in developing and implementing a communications strategy to accompany community safety policy objectives. It's like I forget the thoughts that I originally had when I was looking over these things, and it gets my brain crazy. Stella Pictures. To provide support to Stella Pictures for the distribution of Frank Gehry Building Justice, a film which will educate the general public about the intersection of mass incarceration and architectural design and its punitive aspects in building prisons in the United States. I can agree with that also. So let's get to this one. This one just irks me. And I went to because it's so even more non-descriptive. Europe, 3-year term, theme, health and rights. Very interesting. Kind of sounds like what we're going through as of 6/3/2020. Organization level support. I said, oh, okay, let's look. All right, so this is what we got. Sorry for breathing into the mic. So, oh yeah. Okay, so look, in quotations, Babel Day Center. That's strange. Let's read a little bit. This grant is part of the mental health promotion program for children, adolescents, and young adults. To support the implementation of a program for pre-adolescents and adolescents living in Athens, Kepsili, and surrounding neighborhoods, aimed at improving their mental strength and providing treatment and rehabilitation for serious mental health problems and mental health disorders through the development of clinical services. Yo, them kids just probably need to have anyway, I'm not gonna. The program's actions, which will be run at the Babel, and they put it in quotations. You know, like why? Why would you put that in quotations if you're not trying to? Anyway, which will be run at the Babel Day Center, take the form of primary, secondary, and tertiary, sorry, I butchered that, prevention and mental health promotion interventions. The secondary and not trying to, tertiary, whatever, tertiary prevention interventions are targeted at the children of immigrants, while the targeted children of immigrants. Is it starting to irk you yet? Are you starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable reading through this stuff? Or is it just me? While the primary prevention and mental health promotion interventions are addressed to all children at high risk of developing mental health problems regardless of origin. So sinister. I say that because I have a totally different view on mental health problems, but that's an anecdote for another day. Odd. Sin Irmos Social Solidarity NGO was founded in 2005 and works in the areas of social solidarity, social economy, care, and mental health for children and adults. It develops interventions for vulnerable social groups immigrants, people with disabilities, people with mental health problems. Since '07, the organization has been in charge of the scientific and administrative management of the mobile mental health unit in the municipality of Trikala and the Babel, again in quotations, the Babel Day Center for the Mental Health of Immigrants in Athens, blah, 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 blah. Both of which come under the Psychargos. That's probably something to... Yeah, wait, actually, let's look that up. Alright, Psychargos program and are overseen by the Ministry of Health and Social Solidarity. The Babel Day, again, Day Center is a mental health unit aimed at serving the needs of immigrants and refugees living in Athens. The center's priority is to approach immigrants facing mental health problems and mental health disorders, or who are at risk of developing or manifesting such problems, given that migration is one of the risk factors for their manifestation. All right, let's look this up though. Well, that's an awful lot of Greek. I wonder if we're even going to be able to find anything. Oh. Well, let's see what this is. I apologize, I do not speak Greek. We have created a few questions, blah, blah, blah. What are the Thalpos units? Yes, what are those? I haven't heard of those either. They are units of psychosocial rehabilitation of high protection level in which individuals with serious mental health problems are accommodated 24 hours a day. The main focus is on hospitalization, education, occupation, and personal psychosocial development of the tenants. The units are part of the National Psychiatric Reform Program. Psychargos. Wow. What is the Psychargos program? The Psychiatric Reform Program, Psychargos, creates units of, and I apologize, we're kind of getting off topic, but this is kind of interesting. Creates units of psychosocial rehabilitation of the living quarters type, dorm, guest house, protected apartments for the deinstitutionalization, the psychosocial rehabilitation, and the social reintegration of 3,500 chronic asylum patients who lived in psychiatric hospitals, and at the same time developed psychiatric departments in the general hospitals and other community structures for the provision of mental health services such as daycare centers, mobile units, mental health centers, medical education centers. Well, that kind of could be troubles. Well, I ain't going to get into that. But I'm thinking about the vaccine, how they're going to roll that out. Are you going to take the vaccine? I am not, if you are wondering, which you probably are not. But if you are, I will not. Events. So we're back to the Open Society, the foundations. Let's see. These... We're going to go through, I guess these are the latest events that they've been a part of. November 7 to 2019, New York, protecting the rights of children in the war on drugs in Latin America and the Caribbean. A panel of experts discusses a new report exploring the intersection of incarceration, drug policy, and children's rights. Film screening Building the American Dream, October 3rd, 2019. Blah, blah, blah. New film, blah, blah, blah. Immigrant labor, okay. September 24, 2019, women incarcerated in the Americas demand sweeping changes. Between 2000 and 2017, the female prison population worldwide increased by 53%. Oh, you think that was an accident? Driven by minor, nonviolent drug offenses. Yeah, there's money there. Why do you think everybody's in prison in America? There's mad money there. Anyway, a panel of advocates and policymakers explored what... Okay, let's see. Women are on the front lines of the fight for a fair global economy. A panel of women leaders will explore how their efforts can be better supported. September 24, 2019, Building Power, Women's Leadership in the Fight for Justice, Democracy, and Fair Work. I thought the women's rights movement kind of happened a long time ago. I keep hearing that supposedly women don't get paid the same, but like, I'm sorry, I've never experienced that, man. And I started in the bottom working fast food and stuff, and come on now, man. I don't know. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen in like CEO level where they're already making a crap ton of money and stuff, but in my own experience, I've never seen pay inequality. But that's just me. I'm a man, so maybe I never really paid attention to it, you know. So, all right, let's get back. All right, so there's that Open Society. You can check it out, of course. See what you think about that. Like I said, for me, it's hard to get a bead on his foundations and his funding. And all right, so now we're at this. This was an article from 2016 Washington Times. Black Lives Matter cashes in with $100 million from liberal foundations. Stop killing all people, man. Sorry. Sorry, I'm not a big fan of groups, man. I just wish everybody could damn get along. For all its talk of being a street uprising, Black Lives Matter is increasingly awash in cash, raking in pledges of more than $100 million from liberal foundations and others eager to contribute to what has become the grant-making cause du jour. I don't know if I said that right. The Ford Foundation, really, and Borealis Philanthropy recently announced the formation of the Black-Led Movement Fund, BLMF, a 6-year pooled donor campaign. So going all the way to 2022, right? Right? If this is 2016, it's being announced. I mean, Washington News, or Washington Times, aren't they? I mean, they're mass media. So it's announced all the way till 2022, right here. The Ford Foundation and Borealis Philanthropy recently announced the formation of the Black-Led Movement Fund, BLMF, a 6-year pooled donor campaign aimed at raising $100 million for the Movement for Black Lives Coalition. Apologies. That funding comes in addition, here's 33 again. That funding comes in addition to more than $33 million in grants to the Black Lives Matter movement from top Democratic Party donor George Soros through his Open Society foundations, as well as grant making from the Center for American Progress. So, do you think that it's possible if you had, billions of dollars that you could fund a whole bunch of groups that hate each other? What's this? Okay, so this must be something else. I don't remember looking at this. George Soros, Mark Zuckerberg, and the Sheryl Sandberg should be removed from control of Facebook. I mean, I can agree with that. George Soros to fund new Open Society University Network, most enduring project of my life. Well, this video is becoming a little bit more long, but I feel like it's only right to honestly view both sides and to try to find what's in the middle, you know? Like, ain't nobody perfect. He who was without sin cast the first stone. You know what I mean? All right. George Soros to fund new Open Society University Network, most enduring project of my life. Davos, Switzerland. George Soros says he's injecting. Why would you use that? January 23rd, 2020. George Soros says he's injecting $1 billion into a new university network that the 89-year-old billionaire see, like, his life's getting, he's getting on up there, y'all. So, like, I mean, if I were him, I'd be very active. I'd be trying to make as much change. You know, he has a lot of money. It's like, I don't know. Can't get the beat on this dude. 89-year-old billionaire investor calls the most important and most enduring project of my life, and I would like to see it realized while I am still around. So he's trying to see whatever he's talking about happen before he dies. He's already 89 years old, y'all. He told journalists on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Soros, that's I've never seen that word. I really don't think I've ever seen that word. A vociferous critic of U.S. President Trump. I mean, you gotta call it what it is, you know. He is the president. Announced the plans at the end of a speech to reporters during which he criticized Trump as a con man, the ultimate narcissist, and a climate denier. I don't know if those things are right or true or not. I'm not Donald Trump, so let's see. The philanthropist, excuse me, who made his billions in the markets. Actually, hold on, I gotta sip the coffee. Okay. Also reiterated his criticisms of other alleged autocrats. That's another term I haven't heard before. Autocrats? What in the F? Ay. I have to understand, though. I have to know a definition. A person such as a monarch ruling with unlimited authority. Dude, hold up. What? So what is this claim? Wait. Maybe I read that wrong. The philanthropist who made his billions in the markets also reiterated his criticisms of other alleged autocrats. He branded, as dictators both Chinese president, I'm not going to try to say that, one, because I don't want to get flagged, but, yeah, right, like I care, and Prime Minister Viktor Orban of Hungary, Soros' native country. Okay, I don't know about y'all, but so far it's kind of hard to be mad at the guy. You know, what if it's a smear campaign from some? There's a lot of billionaires out there, y'all. He's not the only one. You know what I mean? Somebody could be going behind his back and trying to. I don't know. This is a very nasty world, y'all. Anyway, so let's get back to it. Aside from the invective, Soros presented his plans for the Open Society University Network. His office said, "Oh, son, what?" You know what? Hold on. I just had a thought. Maybe that's why all these people that are claiming that they're paid protesters and claiming that they get paid from George Soros. You notice how all of them seem like they're not really there? Like something's a little cuckoo. Like they're, I don't know. I'm just calling it as I sees it. But what if that's a smear type of thing against George Soros to try to paint him as the bad guy so people don't look further and try to find who really is funding the violence and because from what I'm seeing so far, it's that like he's really trying to use his money to make change in non-violent ways, but maybe, I could be wrong, but anyway, let's keep on going. The network will be built around Soros Central European University and Bard College, north of New York City. To demonstrate our commitment to OSUN, we are contributing $1 billion to it, he said, but we can't build a global network on our own. We will need partner institutions and supporters from all around the world to join us in this enterprise. I consider OSUN the most important and enduring project of my life, and I should like to see it implemented while I am still around, Soros said. Okay, well, you know what? That seems more important than BRICS right now. Let's see, OSUN. I don't know if this is what this can't. OSUN is a major orca in the Santiago. No, dude, that's not what I'm looking for. Yeah, wait. Wait, what? Open Society. Dude, I just have a dumb moment. Is he talking about the Open Society? This Open Society Foundations.org? Is that what he was talking about? Open Society University Network, OSUN, is a new global network that integrates learning and the advancement of knowledge across geographic and demographic boundaries, promotes civic engagement on behalf of open societies, and expands access of underserved communities to higher education. Dude, like I'm saying, how can you argue with that? Let's see. Okay, so what's their mission? osun.bard.edu. Mission: foster critical thinking, open intellectual inquiry, and fact-based research to strengthen foundations of open society amid authoritarian resurgence. Go on. Educate students to address tomorrow's global challenges by getting to know other societies from the inside. Wait, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Educate students to address tomorrow's global challenges by getting to know other societies from the inside. So by infiltration? Is this a peaceful infiltration? Right? That's not what it's talking about, right? Infiltration. Educate students to address tomorrow's global challenges by getting to know other societies from the inside. Moving on. Expand access to higher education at a time of growing inequities. Well, what if all these inequities are have been molded over hundreds of years? Even if that is the case, isn't that good, right? Expand access to higher education at a time of growing inequities. So what's the meat? Expand higher education, or the access to. Okay, that sounds good. Counteract polarization by promoting global research, collaboration, and educating students to examine issues from different perspectives and advance reasoned arguments. I'm going to say that one more time. Counteract polarization by promoting global research, collaboration, and educating students to examine issues from different perspectives and advance reasoned arguments. That also sounds good. It sounds like bolster efforts by universities in challenging environments to build their own capacity through global partnerships to make greater contributions to their societies. Okay, there's that. Okay, let's keep on going. All right, let's see what this has to say. Hacked documents. Soros funded Black Lives Matter. Okay, but has Black Lives Matter ever done anything? I ain't gonna go there. I'm trying to stay Switzerland, right? I'm trying to stay neutral, okay? When George Soros' Open Society Foundation's OSF was accused last year of funding Black Lives Matter, BLM, Ken Zimmerman, the director of U.S. programs, blah, 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 denied it, blah, fantastic room. No, because we already seen that. This sounds like a bunch of saying like twisting stuff. But let's see. DCleaks.com, which claims to be run by the same hackers who leaked a trove of emails from the Democratic National Committee, DNC, has published a 69-page report from OSF in which the Soros organization documents its plans to use the unrest following the death of Freddie Gray to accelerate the dismantling of structural inequality generated and maintained by local law enforcement. The relevant portion of the report says, the killing of Freddie Gray in April helped spawn weeks of peaceful protests by Baltimore residents and allies from the Black Lives Matter movement that were temporarily interrupted by a period of unrest that lasted. Hold on, let's open up the 65-page report, if it's still there. Right. Okay, I'm not surprised. Name last modified. Yeah. Descriptions. I'm almost not secure. Soros. DCleaks.com. Seems like a trap. I do not like traps. It's probably too late. In particular, recent events. Okay, well, that's interesting. let's read that. Let's start that again. The killing of Freddie Gray in April helped spawn weeks of peaceful protests by Baltimore residents and allies from the Black Lives Matter movement that were temporarily interrupted by a period of unrest that lasted less than 48 hours and resulted in some injuries and millions of dollars in property damage to neighborhood businesses. While many lamented the damage done, the overwhelming sentiment is that the uprising has catalyzed a paradigm shift in Baltimore that offers opportunities for major justice reforms. Excuse me. In particular, recent events offer a unique opportunity to accelerate the dismantling of structural inequality generated and maintained by local law enforcement, and to engage residents who have historically been disenfranchised in Baltimore City in shaping and monitoring reform. Building on our existing networks and programs, OSI Baltimore will focus investments on 1. Creating a culture of accountability for policing in Baltimore, recognizing the pervasive racism, disrespect, and lawlessness that gave rise to recent events. I'm sorry, but oh man, I just can't help but think, like, how easy would it be to play all sides of everything if you're a bunch of billionaires, ain't got nothing better to do but to rule the world. I don't know. Anyway, let's keep on going. 2. Building the capacity of activists in Baltimore to demand and achieve immediate long-term reforms. And I said what I did because I've been seeing a lot of stuff how G. Floyd, how maybe even his supposed death was all staged and like everything's staged. And it's like it's hard to argue with that take on everything too. Like very hard. Okay, let's keep on. We're almost done here. That was somewhat interesting. I did not look at. All right, let's see. 6 days ago. So 6 days ago from the 3rd of 2020. Yeah, I'm losing my months. It's gone. I don't know what's going on here. Minneapolis is burning. Soros paid Antifa gangs involved. We shall see. Well, thank you, Sarah, for this. We'll see. The Minnesota National Guard was called out by Governor Tim Walz early Thursday morning. Riots broke out following the police killing of G. Floyd, an unarmed black man, on Tuesday. All 4 officers involved were immediately fired, and DOJ investigation was immediately launched. But after 10 weeks of COVID lockdown and large-scale unemployment, this wasn't enough to quell the rage in Minneapolis. What perfect timing, right? Oh, sorry. Big box stores and banks were reduced to ashes. Rioters attacked firefighters who responded to the AutoZone store that was engulfed in flames. Other fires blazed and a building collapsed without any action from the fire department. I want to say one thing real quick though. The people that live in their, how do I say this? You're not going to burn down your own city. You don't do that. These people are coming from other cities. I swear on everything. I feel it in my gut. I know. It's like when you just know, and you don't care to try to prove it because it's like you just look around and you try to feel and believe that other people can see the simple things that you do, the simple observations, but that's not always the case. But look, I'm about to put out. Anyway, let's keep on going. I apologize. I don't even know how to say that. A journalist who specializes in domestic terrorist groups claims that the mass arson attacks, looting, and vandalism on Wednesday night were largely perpetrated by paid Soros gangs. He tweeted, Antifa have joined. So who's this guy? A journalist fucking specializes in domestic. Okay. He tweeted, Antifa have joined forces with BLM, Black Lives Matter, again to carry out mass carnage and violence. NGO, because I don't know how to pronounce that, also noted Antifa accounts are encouraging and celebrating the violence in Minneapolis. They've even started a jail fund for those who may get arrested. They are calling it a freedom fund. Riots took place in District 5, the seat of Republican Yan Omar, who tweeted, "Our anger is just, our anger is warranted, and our priority right now must be protecting one another." First of all, get rid of the anger, man, because the anger is just going to rot your mind and you're not going to make good decisions. Omar's teenage daughter, Isra, is retweeted. I'm sorry, I feel like I really don't want to read this. Omar's teenage daughter, Isra Hirsi, retweeted a list of supplies needed by rioting comrades. Dude, what? The original thread came from the Twin Cities Democratic Socialist Party. Yo, I was just watching it was with the Scariest Movie Ever channel and Jeff. What's his channel? I just subscribed to it and I didn't know about this guy, but he was talking. Jeff was talking. You can find this video on Scariest Movie Ever channel. It's one of his newest ones. It just came out like yesterday or the day before. It was a live stream. But anyway, he was talking about all the symbolism, and that he calls the CV-19 or whatever, he calls it Kobe virus, and he says all this really got kicked off when they staged Kobe's death, and all that, and I say it like that because, well, anyway, but so let's keep on going. That's interesting. He was talking about the twin symbolism and. With how George Floyd looks a lot like, oh, come on, man, it was a good video, y'all. It was just a really good video. Scariest Movie Ever channel. It was a recent live update. The date is 6/3/2020. Wait, 6, dude, I'm getting my stuff all mixed up. Yeah, 6/3. Jeez. All right, let's keep on going because this is taking forever. The original thread came from the Twin Cities Democratic Socialist Party. Socialist Party. Stalin. Hitler. Open your eyes. The original thread came from the Twin Cities Democratic Socialist Party, who were actively coordinating support efforts for the rioters, including car rides out of the area. All of this, of course, leads one to ask if this violence more than 24 hours after Floyd's death was organic. Some had commented that Floyd's murder was so in your face and egregious, it was done in the middle of the street in broad daylight with the cop looking right in the camera. Good insight. Yeah. Excuse me. Observers on social media have been pointing out that this week's cluster of racially charged viral videos may be false flags. With one tweeting, "Do you see a pattern in viral videos the last few days? White cop kills black man beats elderly white man, white woman calls cops on a man in the park and tells the 911 operator there's an African American man threatening my life. Wake up." They are creating a race war. This could be the beginning of a cruel summer. NGO said that the rioting in LA was also organized by Black Lives Matter. Mountains have been moved to trigger social unrest. 40 million Americans have been made unemployed in the past 2 months. Millions more have been arbitrarily detained in their homes. Thousands of criminals have been released from prison. Like, what? Like, I heard something about that, but I didn't really look into that. But that is strange. And what better recruit for a paid protester than somebody that's been in jail for something they did not do, and they've been pissed off for a long time, and they get told, "Hey, we'll let you out." And not only will we let you out, if you go riot in this city at this time with all these other people, we will give you thousands of dollars. We will cut you a check. Not one check, not 2 checks, not 3 checks. Motherfucker, gonna give you as many checks as you're gonna need to do what we want you to do. And look, you get to destroy. You get to be with your friends. Look, I'm sorry, man. All right. Mountains have been moved to trigger social unrest. That is true. Thousands of criminals have been released from prison while small business owners have been jailed for opening up their shops. Yeah, that is a little bit 1984 if you ask me. Let's see. 2-minute video has been removed by YouTube. If it is up on another platform, it will be made available. See more information, products. All right, and then last, what's this? All right, Black Community News. Warning, the real power and purpose behind the Black Lives Matter movement. This was March 4, 2016, by Pastor Stephen E. Broden, Clergy Corner. Commentary, 2 comments. This is from blackcommunitynews.com. Okay. Whatever legitimacy the Black Lives Matter BLM movement may have is lost on its funding from one George Soros. Mr. Soros is the major financial source responsible for funding the leftist movement in America. See link for list of left-wing organization funded by George Soros. Will do. Thank you. Excuse me. We're almost done. I promise. I promise I will not keep you much longer. I will not do that. But y'all gotta check out this next video I put out after this one. I went walking around town looking for the bricks. I did not find bricks, but I did go to the police station and well, yeah, it was a weird day, but it's an awesome day. But anyway, these left-wing groups supported by Soros have one thing in common: to transform America. Yeah. I mean, think of the National Socialist Party. I was trying to think of Hitler's, the title, I forget, but it's like socialism has been around for a while, and we've been fighting socialism and communism as like big enemies. Ideally, people have been like split. Anyway, these left-wing groups supported by Soros have one thing in common: to transform America. Groups like Acorn and Occupy Wall Street, I forgot about Occupy Wall Street, are a disruptive influence in our culture and seek to divide and transform our society into a Marxist design. Can't argue with that. I mean, that's kind of what I'm seeing. Linked to this disruptive scheme is Black Lives Matter through Soros support and funds. There's many other groups, man. Like, do you forget about Antifa being around at the same time? Like, come on now. George Soros' funding of the BLM movement is part of an integration into a tapestry of organizations used to disrupt and weaken our society to engineer a socialistic transformation. I mean, since the 1920s and 1930s, as presented in Harold Cruz's book, The Crisis of the Negro Intellectual, there has been a focused strategy by the Communist Party to use the black community and the poor as a battering ram against, quote-unquote, the system, for the purpose of fundamentally changing America into a leftist utopia. It's kind of what a lot of people has been saying, right? Like, a satanic utopia is around the corner, maybe. Their successful efforts in infiltrating the civil rights movement, and other legitimate struggles for justice has been well documented by many historians and scholars recording the history of the civil rights movement in America. That is true. There is an example of how this co-optation has played out in recent history that demonstrates how the left uses black and poor communities to advance their agenda. George Wiley, who was an agent of Richard Cloward and Francis Piven, Marxist professors at Columbia University, formed a group called the National Welfare Rights Movement in 1969. This leftist organization exploited the poor with a plan to implement a socialistic strategy to overwhelm New York City's welfare system. Cloward and Piven's strategy to orchestrate crisis is evident in the tactics now employed by the BLM movement. Organizers and leaders of BLM are using the same playbook and strategy of George Wiley to advance their... Hold on. Oh, no! Oh, snapper-doo. Okay. Organizers and leaders of BLM are using the same playbook and strategy of George Wiley to advance their Marxist agenda in the public square today. Wait, maybe I should, what was it? I formed a group called, yeah, this is what I should probably look up with his name. Okay. This disruptive strategy is precisely the predominant influence manifesting itself in the Black Lives Matter movement across America. BLM is being aggressively manipulated by the left with funds from Soros in order to force a radical change in how local policing is done in America. Through overreach and the expansion of centralized systems controlled by Washington, D.C., the left is attempting to control local policing. This evil manipulation of black and poor communities is a common strategy that has been used successfully in the 70s, 80s, and 90s to advance their ultimate goal of fundamentally transforming America. This article is pretty, it's hard to argue with this article, man. David Horowitz, in his book, Breaking the System, wrote that the left's strategy called for a cadres of aggressive organizers to create street actions by the poor that would create a climate of militancy. This cadres of aggressive community organizers are studied in two ideas, one developed by Saul Alinsky in his book Rules for Radicals, and other by Richard Cloward and Francis blah 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 blah. Well, no, that y'all might be interested. And Francis Piven in their now famous philosophy called crisis strategy. That might actually be interesting to look into, to expose, rather. Horowitz suggested that climate of militancy will cause fear of racial violence, which will pressure politicians to cave into the demands set forth by the leftists who are leading these movements. These community organizers who are prominently positioned in the Black Lives Matter movement are committed disciples of Cloward and Piven and Saul Alinsky. What we are witnessing in the BLM movement, in simple terms, are the deliberate efforts by the liberal progressives in America under the influence of Marxism to infiltrate and manipulate the black community. What's behind their dastardly plan is to replace capitalism with socialism and to ultimately remove the influence of our Judeo-Christian heritage from the public square. These aggressive community organizers, Satanist, Luciferians, I'm just kidding. I shouldn't do that either. These aggressive community organizers are fanning the flames of discontentment by co-opting a legitimate issue related to stranded relationship between, I don't like how this dude writes, or girl, or whoever, but between the community, local police, and police intimidation. They are using discontentment to advance their agenda. They are steering passions into a climate of militancy and at the same time alienating race relationship in America. The old adage, divide and conquer, is playing out right before our collective eyes. The plan is a simple one: weaken America and then change her. Yeah, it's kind of funny, Horror Babylon, that you call her, call America her. Anyway, the leadership of BLM is fully aware of this scheme. However, the average participants, the foot soldier, in the movement are oblivious to this highly sophisticated, exploitive, and manipulative strategy. The concern for community is not the motivating reason why these Marxists are involved in this movement. The leaders of BLM movement are careful to maintain a narrative that is devoid of the major issues. Okay, I apologize. Let's see. I'm going to start this paragraph over. I really apologize. The concern for the community is not the motivating reason why these Marxists are involved in this movement. The leaders of the BLM movement are careful to maintain a narrative that is devoid of the major issues adversely impacting black communities all over this country. High unemployment, gang crime, black-on-black homicide, the failure of government schools to prepare our children for a 21st century economy, and the number one killer of black people, abortion on demand. It is disheartening to see how leadership in the BLM movement have brought into this Marxist deception and refuse to address these issues, especially abortion and its devastating impact on our babies and women. Black Lives Matters refusal to confront the biggest provider of abortion in the black community that perpetrates the mass murder of our babies, Planned Parenthood and its partners in death, the abortion industry, is very telling about their concern for the community. These merchants of death have destroyed over 35 million black babies since 1973 and have psychologically scared thousands upon thousands of black women for profit. More black babies are aborted than any other ethnic group in America. And what's not reported to the black community is that when we hear of Planned Parenthood selling baby parts for profit, most of those babies are our black babies. Where is the outrage from these so-called leaders? The socialists and Marxists leading BLM are unconcerned with these very real issues in our community. The refusal to address what has been historically and empirically documented as a eugenic plot to demographically demolish black and minority communities, abortion across this globe, is simply unacceptable. In addition, I find it hard to believe that the systematic dismantling of the black family through government overreach and nanny state intrusion into our families escaped their notice. That Marxist manipulators who lead the BLM movement seem more than happy to take funding from the likes of George Soros and betray the best interests of our community in order to achieve their desire to divide and conquer our beloved nation. Sorry, y'all. This is why I can't do these videos in the day, man. Anyway, I gotta wrap up, man. My son wants to play, and my wife is trying to get me to eat and all this, so. Well, thanks for sitting through what you have. National Welfare Rights Movement. These are the things that I just pulled up. George Wiley, American chemist and civil rights leader. So I don't know, I still, let's see, discoverthenetworks.org, individuals, George Soros. Anyway, I gotta cut this. Y'all have a good night, good day. I'm just trying to make a point. It's hard to get a bead on who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, and it's like the same old theme as, two sides of the same coin, is what I'm picking up. So, dude, I don't know, man, but thanks for watching, y'all. Bye.